Hi guys, and welcome to this week's episode of In the Club presents At the Club. If you haven't done so, please do consider dropping a like on this video, subscribing to the page and dinging the bell for notifications. At the Club is of course brought to you by ClassForKids.
ClassForKids is an industry-leading booking and management software designed for kids' activity clubs. We work with 250,000 monthly users around the world to help them save time on admin and organise their business. If you'd like to learn more, click on the link in the description below.
On this week's episode, we have our very own Heather Fitzsimmons. Aside from being an irreplaceable member of the ClassForKids team, Heather also competes in weightlifting and CrossFit. She talks to me a little bit about how she got into those sports and the mental and physical benefits she has seen from partaking in them.
So I started at the gym about 5 years ago, just as general gym goer, and then I done a beginner's course about 3 years ago in Olympic weightlifting at a weightlifting club, Glasgow City Barbell, and then just started weightlifting from there. I've competed for the past 2 years, and this year I've recently started CrossFit and started competing in CrossFit as well.
Nice. So what is the difference between lifting and Olympic weightlifting? Like weightlifting and Olympic weightlifting?
So lifting in general is just general strength training, lifting weights in the gym. Olympic weightlifting is a sport that you can compete in. It's based on the snatch and the clean and jerk, so you'll be able to watch it at the Olympics. But compared to general lifting, that's just your general in the gym squatting, dumbbell stuff, things like that.
Yeah, and see, for when you're working out, obviously warming up's a very important part of that. Is there a difference in warming up for like Olympic weightlifting as opposed to just going in for a weightlifting session? Do you have to take care of different body parts?
Yeah, I think with weightlifting, it's a lot of heavy lifting all the time. So you have to make sure your mobility is up to scratch, your flexibility. You can't just go in and start lifting. You're using a lot of shoulders. You do have to have good mobility. A lot of what people struggle with in the gym is they don't stretch, they don't warm up properly. So they don't use, bands, they don't use, like, for example, a PVC pipe. You wouldn't see that in a gym, but with weightlifting, you have to do a lot of strict like dynamic or static stretches to prepare your muscles to lift heavy weights above your head that you might not generally do as a gym goer.
Right. And so how long does your warm up phase last before you get into like working sets?
I would probably say about half an hour. So from when I step into the gym to warming up to start my working sets would probably, if I'm just going in and going straight into it and not chatting and stuff like that, about half an hour.
Nice. And still sticking onto the kind of the weightlifting side of things, and we'll cut the conversation into CrossFit later on. Do you see or have you felt any like physical and mental benefits?
Yeah, definitely. I think with lifting weights, as women especially, you're told not really to do that and to maybe stick to cardio, doing stuff like this. But actually, since I've started lifting weights, I see a difference in everyday life. It's easier to do general things, tasks that having a bit of strength helps with, to something as simple as, moving furniture. You might have done it before and it's difficult and blah, 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 but when you're lifting weights, everyday things becomes easier. And obviously there's long-term benefits to lifting weights. It isn't just, getting muscles and doing this and that. It is like actually building up your bones and your general base strength so that when you're, 80 years old, you can, get up and you can go to the toilet yourself, you can walk around. Whereas if you don't have that bone density and that muscle mass, it's very easy to deteriorate. And then when you're older, it's detrimental to your health. So actually, yeah, I've seen a massive benefit, and mentally as well, going into the gym and being able to see every day or every week progression in your strength or your fitness is a massive benefit. Obviously, sometimes it can be not when you don't get that, what you want, the weights you want, or it can be annoying or frustrating, but in the long term I think it's good to set aside that hour or couple of hours a day for yourself. everyone knows how beneficial exercise is, and specifically for me, exercise, a large part of it is lifting weights and seeing that I can be strong, and especially as a woman, you can have that strength, and it doesn't make you any less feminine, it doesn't make you masculine. It's actually very beneficial for your body and your mind.
Yeah, that's the big thing that came through. It was always a big talking point during the pandemic when gyms closed, and it was always the one of the big things to fight off infection and stuff like that was exercise. And then other gyms closed, and it was people finding that potentially hadn't exercised before or hadn't exercised in a long time, that was going long walks and running and picking up things in the back garden and stuff, and that's almost like a new generation of people who want to exercise off the back of that, because I think you're seeing gyms get fuller, and people are realising that going a walk at lunchtime is so beneficial to their mental health as well, just because you get that sort of the green areas around you, and it's like a technology reset where you don't need to think about anything like that. So it's wee things kind of ticking over from there. And in a completely different subject, you said you had been competing, so what are some of your accolades from your time in Olympic weightlifting?
I think I've got 2 gold medals from, I don't know what competitions they were just some Scottish competitions. One of them was like an under 23 competition, and
Smashed it.
I got a bronze at the British Open, which I think was my biggest achievement. That was really scary for me. So yeah, I think the bronze at the British Open I was quite happy with, because it was the biggest competition I've done. It was pretty scary, and yeah, but I enjoyed it. I enjoy competing. I think I got a silver as well at some point, but nice. I don't really know. I don't really like talking about it. I just because I do it for fun. I do it for enjoyment. So the competing is fun as well, but yeah, I get all embarrassed talking about it.
What does switching it up, is there a mental switch from working in the gym and going for like a lift that you want to lift to competition day? How does that differ mentally?
Yeah, so in the gym, I think I do it for fun. So when I'm lifting, and you don't know how you're going to feel on the day of a competition, whereas in training, I follow a program. I've got a coach and he gives me a program, and then every week I'll progress on the week before. So I work off percentages. So it will say 70% of your maximum weight, do X reps at X sets. Whereas in a competition, you're going in and you want to lift the heaviest you possibly can that day, but you don't know, you might have been suffering from an injury before that competition. So you really have to work with your coach and understand. So in training, some days, if you're meant to hit a certain weight, then say, for example, I'm going to do a 100-kilo squat today because that's 90%, but you might go and you feel really good, and then you think, actually, I'm just going to put it up a little bit. I'm going to do 105% and 110% and just see it. And then sometimes you'll hit an unexpected PR because you feel good that day and you've worked for 6 months to actually build up your strength, and now you can increase that weight. Whereas in a competition, it has to be strategic, because obviously you're competing against other people. It depends if you're going there and you want to win a medal, or you're going there and you just want to have fun, which is what I've always done. I've never thought about competing against other people. I just go and I think, well, this is what I've done last time, and this time I'd quite like to hit this weight. But in weightlifting, you only go and you do 9 lifts the whole competition. So you do 3 snatches and 3 clean and jerks. So you want to open with a weight that you feel comfortable with. You know you're going to be able to do it. Sometimes that doesn't go to plan, but then you work with your coach and you figure it out. So sometimes it means that you'll hit a PB. I don't think I've ever went into competition and lifted the heaviest I've ever lifted. Right. But like I said, I do it for fun. So I don't want to go and come out of the competition and feel bad. I want to go, I want to have fun. I've got a lot of friends that compete and they're, at an extreme level. And I like to just watch them. Like, I like to see what they're doing. And I just go for fun in the community. Like, the community in weightlifting specifically is great. Everyone's there to compete yourself. You're gonna be individually winning a medal, but everyone supports each other and what they're doing. Even when you're warming up in the room, the warm-up room, everyone's supporting each other. It's not like I'm competing against you and I want to. It's very supportive against each other, which I like, because at the end of the day, everyone's just trying to be better for themselves. So
Nice. So you said earlier you also do CrossFit. You're going to be competing. You have been competing and you are going to be competing.
I've done one competition
Right.
so far, but I've only started it this year, so I'm kind of just slowly getting into it. I've got a competition in November in CrossFit, but yeah, it's slightly different from weightlifting. It's a new challenge. I like to challenge myself with new things, and CrossFit is the recent one.
Yeah. So CrossFit always terrifies me because it seems like there's a lot of stress on the joints.
Yeah.
How do you go from being like very strict technique with like Olympic weightlifting to what seems like just
chaos?
Yeah.
So at first I really struggled with it because I would think that weights were too heavy to do the amount of reps that you're doing. But what I would say is with CrossFit, you can scale things back. So if you can't do a certain weight or blah, 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 you can scale things back, do it at your capability. You can also work with a coach, even if you can't do any weights. What can I do instead? But what I done, the weights weren't too heavy for me. It was my endurance. So when I first started, I didn't understand how. I think in the first workout, it was programmed to do 60 cleans at 55 kilos. Now my max clean is 80 kilos.
Right.
So I thought, I can do 55. I know I can do 55, but I've never done 60 at 55 in one workout. But then when you speak to other people, you understand sometimes it might be a partner workout, or it might be, a workout where you do maybe 10 at a time, and you get used to it. I think having that technique and warming up for the session, not just go in and start doing the weights or the max weight. You're not going to be able to do that warm up before the class starts, or if you're not doing a class, you're just doing a workout yourself. Just make sure you warm up. That's the most important thing, and you just have to take it at your own pace. Don't try and go as fast as the fastest person in the class or the fittest person in the class, because you're not going to be able to. I think challenge yourself, look at them and think, I want to be like that, but also go at your own pace. Pace yourself. I think I've went too hard before, and then at the end of the workout I'm dying. But if you just pace yourself at the start and keep a good pace up, I think that's the main thing. But it does look chaotic. But if you just pay attention, learn the movements individually, that's what I've started doing. Is what I struggled with is gymnastics, for example. I've never done gymnastics before, and in the first workout that I went to, it was like 20 reps of any gymnastics for however many rounds with the other exercises. And I was like, I don't know what a gymnastic is. Like, what does that entail? So I've been training separately myself by following a program with one of the coaches that teaches gymnastics, to get better at that, so that when I'm doing a class and I'm doing a workout with a group, I don't have to then rely on them to tell me what to do. I know this is what I'm going to do for my gymnastics, because this is what I'm trying to get better at. So I think you have to make the effort, if you want to be good at it, to progress outside of the classes and progress outside of the group sessions, because the individual work is the hardest work to do, but it's the most beneficial in the long run, because then you start to see progress in your workouts, or in your classes that you're doing, for example. If you want to, I've got a Instagram that is for my progression. It's at Hev Gains, HEVGAINS. So yeah, if you're interested, then I'd literally just post videos of me squatting and lifting and stuff.
Thanks very much to Heather for giving up some of her time to talk to me on this episode of At The Club. There were some fantastic insights and takeaways. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did and you haven't done so, please do consider leaving a like on the video, subscribing to the page and dinging the bell for notifications. I will see you next time.